Hi, I'm Lara. I'm an architect. In this presentation, I'm going to be talking about dementia, residential care, and how we as architects are responsible for the quality of these care environments. I represent Calderflower Architects, and we've been doing this type of work for a long time, and we continue to face the challenges of designing and bettering environments for people who live with dementia. It would be short-sighted of me not to make mention of current circumstances of COVID-19 and the issues that this has highlighted for the future safety of vulnerable residents and the far-reaching impact that the pandemic will have on aged care. We know that aging people, like anybody else, prefer to stay in their own home and not move into long-term residential care with groups of strangers in large environments. So if the perfect ideal scenario for caring for someone with dementia is at home, what would the perfect scenario look like, and what could we learn from this to bring into our work in designing large-scale residential care? This is Sally. Sally has dementia. Sally lives in a generous 3-bedroom freestanding cottage in a retirement village in a large estate that consists of a couple of thousand similar cottages. It's a beautiful environment. It is configured around a golf course and set in beautiful landscape setting. Sally lost her husband about 10 years ago and has had dementia for the last 8 years. Her children live remotely and manage her care program from afar. And her care program consists of 4 carers who come to her house and look after her 24/7 in rotating 6-hour shifts. These are carers that have been with her for the last 8 years, and they know her well. She probably knows them better than her own family at the moment. She's happy. She's happy in her home, which is filled with memories and treasures from her life with her husband. It is filled with beautiful furniture, artwork, and a lifetime of collections. Every day, Sally has the opportunity to walk around the estate. There are paths, there are lakes, dams. It's a very scenic setting. Sally's daily life has not changed. She still lives with her cat, and her pattern and routine is stable, and she's happy. She's so cared for and so happy. So when this is no longer possible, and when someone is not able to live at home and needs the full-time support of live-in care, our duty is to create places that, despite being unfamiliar, offer an uplifting sense of comfort and well-being. And although we cannot know the life stories and the cultural backgrounds and references of all of our future residents in the buildings that we design for, we do know that we can provide familiarity with superior environmental design to maintain a purposeful connection with the outdoors and with nature, and to give residents access to the physical experience of climatic and seasonal changes that enable moments of delight and recognition. The health benefits and memory recall from positive interactions with nature are well researched, and these psychological and physical experiences can be powerful and remembered as feelings of joy, strength, and vitality. This is my dad at 87. He's swimming in an ice-cold mountain waterfall. This made him feel so invigorated, almost euphoric. He forgot all his ailments and his weaknesses and was so empowered by this moment, this wonderful moment is endured in his mind. Before I was an architect, I started my professional life as a registered nurse. I worked in types of hospitals and private homes, and most often I was looking after old people. And it was during this time that I began to see and experience how the quality of the indoor environment actually affected people's behaviour, their sense of happiness, and their sense of anxiety. This was both relevant for the person being cared for as well as the carer. And this interest deepened while studying architecture And I now know that architecture, that the actual built form, has a significant and direct impact on how people feel. I am genuinely inspired because architecture really does matter, and because we must take responsibility to create buildings that nurture the human spirit. This presentation showcases 4 case studies of buildings that have been designed and delivered by Calderflower over the last 5 years. Each one has a specific point of difference, depending on its context, its locality. Harbison, this new development, located in the existing campus of Harbison Care, is in the Southern Highlands of Barradoo next to Bowral. It is styled like a pair of country houses. The 2 15-bed cottages are designed specifically for dementia care and are linked together with a central service core with a driveway on one side and entries to each cottage on the other. The design is focused around familiarity of home and the activities of domestic daily life. It's based on the proven butterfly model of dementia care, which provides a home-like experience to support the independence, safety and comfort of people living with dementia. The kitchen is the heart and centre of the household and is purpose-designed for staff and safe resident use without compromising the character and the feel, with textured tiles, colour and carefully displayed activity cues. The inviting and brightly coloured daylit laundry functions as a commercial use but is primarily a resident-friendly activity area and has glazed doors to access the outside veranda and the washing line. Garden activities are also part of the outdoor activity program. And inside, the individual resident rooms are crafted to feel like a guest room in somebody's house. There is a range of different room sizes. They each have a separate door colour and an individual number style on the front. There is no clinical paraphernalia or enunciator panels, which make Harbison feel different and desirable in this key point of difference. And the clever use of unobtrusive technology ensures the best care while maintaining this home-like environment. The building incorporates modern, unobtrusive safety systems, including an Australian-first smart floor that can detect falls, spills and movement. The cottages at Harbison have been open for almost a year and the feedback is good. One story in particular is about Sandy, whose husband has lovingly supported her move into care with this note. This weekend, my beautiful wife Sandy went into care at the Harbison cottages at Barradoo. Sandy survived a brain tumour 20 years ago, and I know there comes a time for everything, but this has been a hard step to take. So as a way of fighting back against the pain of change, I styled her room to the best of my skill. She loves it, and thanks to the wonderful staff and amazing facility of Harbison Care, I believe she will settle in really well. I have since spoken to James on the phone, and his story resonated. He said that for 20 years, he looked after Sandy at home, and he had no intention of putting her into care. And it was only at the insistence of her care coordinator that they visit Harbison and inspect the cottages and consider it, did they finally decide that they had found somewhere that Sandy really could relate to and that she could identify as her home. And the report back is that she is happy and she is settled, and James is thrilled. So even with memory loss, we're all living, breathing, feeling human beings. Feelings, both physical and emotional, are linked and influence each other. Feeling cold is uncomfortable and makes us anxious. A warm, comfortable armchair feels good and makes us happy. So can we design for feelings? Through our inbuilt senses, we see and we feel the environment we're in, how it smells, how it tastes, feels, looks. And we design for the human condition by aligning our buildings with nature wherever possible, so that we can permit these sensory experiences to occur, so we can permit the feelings to result. This is how a building ultimately communicates with people. Dudley Ford House. Our purpose is to create places that help alleviate the fear and anxiety that is inevitably experienced. And here at Dudley Ford, we have a proven case study to demonstrate how this has actually really been successful. Anglicare's Dudley Ford House at the Ponds in northwest Sydney is a single-storey, 105-bed home. It is set in a lavish landscape and is configured with 7 small resident wings, which are all attached to a long central spine or street. The street is intended to foster community, coming together and socialisation. It is a successful hub of busyness, offering a range of places, services and activities positioned along its spine. This is activated with vivid colour and the detail of shop fronts and shared dining and recreational spaces. The street is flooded with natural daylight from high windows, glazed courtyards, and outlooks into the wide landscape gardens. But one of the main wins for Dudley Ford is that it is a safe and free place, free to roam environment for all residents, including those with dementia. The whole site is fenced, so no doors are locked, and residents can access the beautiful gardens and inside spaces with ease and at will, even from every resident room. The generous gardens are filled with walking paths, picnic tables, colour, gardening activities, and even chickens and some animals. The boundaries between the indoor and the outdoor living environments are seamless and an easy traverse, inviting residents into the gardens. Here is a story about Dudley Ford House in the form of feedback from Kathy Wood, who was the manager of Dudley Ford when it opened. When the new home opened, Anglicare moved a group of residents, all with dementia, from the so-called secure unit in an older facility into this new, open, airy, sunlit Dudley Ford House. Typically, Kathy reported, in the older facility, as they must, the care team would record, on average, 5 or 6 aggressive incidents among this group of residents each week. And she was so delighted to report that since they had relocated into their new home, there was a significant change in their behaviour. There was less anxiety and tension. They were calmer by being able to wander freely in and out of the gardens. That in 6 months of living there, they had noted 1 single aggressive incident in the whole time amongst the whole group. But then what about when we can't do single-storey buildings? When the site is in an urban zone that requires a high-rise development and response? This is the reality of building in and around cities, particularly in Sydney, where a single-storey development is an enormous luxury. The multi-storey configuration also adds many benefits for an ageing community. It brings together a consolidated floor plate, distances and travel paths can be shorter because of the vertical circulation. The Royce in Penrith is an example of a building at scale that is a supportive care community. This is a 6-storey central courtyard development. It is broken at each facade and orientation to create several 3-storey podium rooftop gardens that bring sunlight into the central landscape courtyard throughout the day. Designed for choice and ageing in place, the Royce offers luxury for all. It has a single shared entrance and lobby space for both the retirement apartments and the residential care component. The large central cafe has an in-house celebrity chef who is focusing on food excellence and ambience. The experience of the cafe is enjoyed by all the residents. They all frequent the cafe together with family, partners and visitors and enjoy the normal everyday socialization with the wider community and the organised cooking events and activities. This is a hub of normal socialization for everyone. The wellness precinct extends to offer other things, including beauty and grooming for men and women, physiotherapy, a range of activities and communal shared spaces, There is a great choice of allied health services. The apartments are generally sized for aging in place and are all fully accessible. The nursing home accommodation is called the Royce Manor and is fully integrated into the development over 4 levels. Level 3 is allocated as a safe memory support neighbourhood, and residents here have their own garden terrace. Beyond the offerings of each neighbourhood level, residents can be taken to the ground floor to spend time in the central courtyard garden. The courtyard is large and landscaped with arbours, pergolas and walking paths. There is a covered barbecue area and a large craft shed for activities and creative art making. The Royce is pet friendly, and the therapeutic benefits of pets are well recognised for companionship and reducing stress, also for lowering blood pressure and the healing power that pets have in decreasing loneliness and increasing happiness in owners. North Turramurra is a new home for Southern Cross Care. This was built to replace an existing outdated care building on the same site. The partial demolition of the original care building allowed the existing residents to remain on site throughout the build and the construction of the new building. Residents watched the daily progress through their windows, particularly as the new build was extremely close to the old building. Celebrations abounded on the day the residents were relocated from the old building into their new home. It was an emotional day to witness their excitement and their overwhelming pride at being part of the new era for Southern Cross Care at North Turramurra. The new care home is one of 3 buildings on the site. The property also has a beautiful heritage house, Huon Park House, which has been carefully renovated and restored and functions as a community hub, which has a cafe, a library and an allied health centre, offices, and also includes overnight accommodation for visiting families. There is a separate freestanding chapel, which was built in the 1960s, which has also been restored alongside the new development. So overall, the site offers the comfort and amenity of this beautiful new building, alongside the nostalgia and the history of the heritage items. Together they provide a rich story of the site, which embellishes the placemaking and the purpose of this care offering. The building is unusual in its meandering form, but is closely connected with the land as it hugs the contours and invites views out into the landscape and the adjacent bushland. The new building is filled with daylight from its glazed, curved end lounges, the large central dining room and internal light wells. Balconies weave around the facades, and access to the outside is generous and frequent. It is a pleasure to visit here and explore the gardens and the beautiful landscape. So in conclusion, in order not to repeat the patterns of the past, we need to make sure that however noble the design, the intent and the outcome, that new buildings themselves don't become obsolete in the years to come. The future is unknown, and the far-reaching impacts of this pandemic will be felt for years to come. It is important that we consider and design for the future, for repurposing or adaptive reuse and change. We need to design for flexible refurbishment or reconfiguration to alter numbers of residents in care households. We need to design for longevity with quality that endures and is easy to maintain. Also, sustainability and optimal energy performance. We have to design to reduce the dependence on artificial lighting and mechanical ventilation. Primarily, we want to design to maintain good health, mental health and physical health, with fresh airflow, passive and natural ventilation, and access to sunlight to sanitize and brighten and to vary the light quality experienced throughout the day. We have to put every effort into making places for people with dementia to find moments of joy. And I will finish with this well-known quote from Maya Angelou. People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And the same can be said for buildings.